2 weeks ago at AM, we did this method, and it's really neat. So it's called the manuscript study. Basically, it is around the idea that we are entering into a text, what we call in manuscripts. It's just the Bible verses that are written out like this. You see it on your table. And you're entering into it asking questions. So we're going into it and seeing what kind of meaning can we get out of this text itself. Because a lot of times we're taught the Bible, which is good and important, right? So someone says, hey, this is what this means. But in this method, you guys have the chance to go into it further, go into the text for yourselves and say, what does that mean? And see how can the text illuminate itself so that we gain some meaning out of it. Does that make sense? A little bit? Yeah! Yeah! Okay, so we're going to talk about a little bit of background for the book of Acts before we hop into it, and then you guys will have some time. So does anyone know who wrote the book of Acts? Oh. Wow, some hands. Yeah. James. You want to phone a friend? Luke. Yes. Oh, wow. Good job. Now, what else did Luke write? He wrote Luke. Shocking. Well done. And do we know anything about Luke? Yeah.
I only know that you read Acts 2 weeks ago, but I did remember. He is one of the best, he was one of the most detailed of the disciples in writing down everything Jesus did.
Yeah.
Historians/theologists think he was a doctor before he became one of Jesus' disciples.
Awesome. Yes. Katie?
His name is Luke.
Yes! That's amazing. Well done, Katie. Well done. Anything else? Yeah.
He was a Greek.
He was a Greek, and why does that matter?
Because he wasn't a Jew.
Yes. He wasn't a Jew. Why does that matter?
Because in Judaism, you can only...
Listen up, guys.
Because in Judaism, you can only follow God if you're of the hereditary biological line of Jews.
Yeah, so what changed? What happened?
Now it's open to everybody, including the Gentiles.
Yes. Does anyone remember the story we read 2 weeks ago? What happened?
I do.
Yeah, what happened?
So I'm not very good with names, but there's this general guy, and he was not a Jew, but he was a very devout religious person, and God came to him in a dream and was like, you need to send people to this guy who's living in his house. His name is Peter, and yeah. So then he wakes up from the dream and he does that immediately. He's like, go to the house, and then. Meanwhile, at the house, Peter's staying with this other guy who's he cleans up dead animals for a living, kind of gross. And then he's up sitting, pondering as they do.
Who's pondering? Peter.
He's pondering. I like to think of some sort of balcony. But then a bunch of animals come to him and God's like, eat them. And Peter's like, what? They're I'm not allowed to do that. And then God's like, do it. And then Peter's like, no, I can't do that. And then God's like, no, just do it. And Peter's like, no. So then all the animals go away. And then Peter's like, oh, it was a metaphor.
Wow. So for those of you who don't know, Macy is going to have a YouTube channel one day, which is called Bible Stories by Macy, where she retells all the Bible stories. It's going to go viral, and we're going to say it's going to be amazing. So well done, Macy. Yes. So that story, does anyone know what was that story illustrating? It was a metaphor.
It was a metaphor for they should let the Gentiles into the church.
Yeah. So it's this big metaphor that because of what Jesus did, right, because of Jesus' death, the Gentiles could now be included in God's family. Remember we saw the picture of the temple? What was in the temple? Or what mattered with the temple? Why was that important? Yeah.
There was a big stone saying, don't come in here.
Yeah.
But you're welcome out here.
Yeah, if you're a
Just
Gentile.
walk further.
Yeah, it said, don't come past this line. It was a to the Gentiles. And they said, if you come past this line, you will be responsible for your own death, which will ensue. Basically, you're going to die if you come past this line.
Welcoming.
Yeah, super radical hospitality.
Radical hospitality.
What?
Jews were allowed past there.
Yes, but Gentiles weren't because of Jesus. But when Jesus died and was resurrected, because that now the Gentiles could come and be a part of the Jewish state. So that is the book of Acts. Time of writing approximately 62 to 70 AD CE. And the big thing with the book of Acts is that it's acting as sort of a bridge between the Gospels and then the letters to the church. So this is a massive timeline from the very beginning all the way through. If you zoom into the New Testament, you see there in yellow the book of Acts is this bridge. Because at the beginning of Acts, we see Jesus is hanging out, walking around, and by the end, and then it tells the story of the church being born and how the church developed and grew. A little bit of context for what's happening so far in the book of Acts. The first half of it, as a review, is a focus on Peter's ministry. So Peter's the guy who was pondering on the roof. Things that happen, Jesus ascends, Pentecost happens, the Holy Spirit comes and falls. A couple of the stories we talked about here in the AM, Scott taught on when Peter healed the crippled beggar. Steph talked to us about Ananias and Sapphira when they dropped dead because they lied. Chapter 7, we talked about Stephen's first martyr at PM, Paul's conversion, we talked about it again last week, and then this vision. Okay, so we're jumping into the second half of the book of Acts today, starting in chapter 13, where we start to see Paul's ministry. We're going to look at a map, and then we're going to talk about who Paul is. So this is the map. You also see a copy of it on your table that has some of the places that we're going to be looking at today. So this is where we're going to be located in the Middle East. So when we're going through the text, I encourage you to refer back to that map so you can see the places that Paul is going. And luckily they're outlined by arrows, which is helpful for us.
Where did it start from?
What?
Where did it start from?
In this passage, he's going to start in Lystra, which is...
Oh, yeah, like
Lystra.
Lystra, which is,
in the middle.
in the middle. So, quick thing, Paul. What do we know about Paul? Paul. Yes.
He originally was a Pharisee named Saul who was converted. To Christianity on his way to, I don't know the name of the city, but thank you. After persecuting all of the Christians in Jerusalem.
Yes, absolutely.
He wrote the song.
He didn't.
No!
But that would be cool.
It rhymes.
It does rhyme. Unfortunately, not everyone who hasn't made it rhymes with the Bible wrote it.
Oh,
That
okay.
would be cool though. Who wrote the song?
Take it.
King something.
A lot. Yep, King David.
Did he write all?
What?
Did he write
No,
all?
he didn't write all of them. He wrote a big chunk of them.
Yeah.
Saul. Okay, so Saul did not write the Psalms, but what else do you know about Saul? Saul/Paul. Yes, Macy.
He was like, he was one of the best
Bless you.
people for planting churches. Like, I don't know what that's called. He was very really good at it.
Yeah, he's a very prolific church planter, right? He planted a ton of churches. So about his name, this is the Paul-Saul thing. My mind was blown this week when I found out what's true about that. So what's your guys' understanding about Saul-Paul? Why does he have two names?
Christian changed it.
Changed
Paul
it.
was named God.
So that's what I thought was
maybe.
true. And that's what I had told people before. And then I read an article on the Gospel Coalition this week, and it was saying that that's not actually a thing that happened. It never says in the Bible that God changed his name from Saul to Paul, but it's just something that we have decided to say because we see before and after his conversion, he's called both Saul and Paul. The reason for that is that Saul was his Jewish name and Paul was his Roman name. So when he was in more Jewish communities, he tended to go by Saul, and when he was in more Roman communities, he would go by Paul. But God didn't do the name change thing. Isn't that interesting? I know, I've been living a lie my whole life and telling people a lie. So
God's okay with
thank you.
that.
Thank you. Forgive me.
Your heart was in the right place the whole time.
Thank you. So, fun fact about Saul Paul. Yes, as Maddie said, former persecutor of Christians, road to Damascus encounter. You can see a picture, a very artistic depiction of it on the right. He was an apostle to the Gentiles, so that's an important thing too. Rather than just being for the Jewish people, he was preaching the gospel to non-Jews. Joseph, yeah.
So, his first name wasn't necessarily Saul.
Huh?
What?
Like, I always thought that his name was Saul and then it got changed to Paul, but it wasn't necessarily in that order. Like, you could have been calling yourself Paul for a long time.
Yeah. Isn't that mind blowing?
What?
So what's his like original name?
So, I mean, it's both. He was Jewish, so it's probably Saul.
Who gets born with both names?
However,
What are their mom's names?
no one calls me Bill.
Look in your Bible.
Not a dogmatic issue. Move on.
Okay, and a hush hello to the crowd. Yeah, look in your Bibles. This is good. This is good when we ask questions like this. We can go back to the text and say, okay, what is the truth about this? So, that is Saul Paul. You can call him Saul Paul. That's what I like. Saul Paul. It's the best of both worlds. Saul Paul. Okay, Joseph/Barnabas is the other guy we're gonna look at. His name was Joseph, but they called him Barnabas, which means son of encouragement. Isn't that nice? Yeah, it's because he was super encouraging, which is a great nickname to have. So if someone starts calling you Barnabas, just be like, thank you. It means you're an encourager. And he was an apostle, but he was not one of the original 12. So he was not one of the guys who was in Jesus' posse, but he became, an apostle and went out.